Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. Today, I want to talk to you on the subject matter, God. And I want to talk to you about two gods. The first God that I want to speak of allows you to do basically anything that you want to do. All you have to do is have enough of God. This God will allow you to live in the most magnificent home. This God will also allow you to own cars, many cars that you might love, dream of. It will allow you to travel the world as often as you like. Plane, boats, trains, or your fine cars. This God will have you connected to the most so-called important people that you know or that others know. This God will allow you to have the biggest bank accounts. This God is a magnificent God for everyone that has enough of it. But this God doesn't stop there. If you do not have enough, this God will have you poor, living in the streets, under bridges, in shelters. This God will require that your education system diminishes from that goal that once was a magnificent one. It will take away that which made the school outstanding. In fact, it'll take teachers out of the schools and crowd the classrooms. In fact, this God will send certain people to certain particular schools and others to different schools. This God will also create the scenario for lying, for cheating, for stealing, for killing. This God will have some indulging in crime and violence, as I stated. It will have some alcoholics, others in drugs, selling, using. This God will allow for mafia activity, gang banging. This is a terrible God. It's the same God that I just got through talking about making life fantastic. And the same God makes life hell. This God creates terrorism and it creates war. This God lies to the people. This God, I know you're wondering right now, many of you others already have deciphered who this God is. This God is money. Money, ladies and gentlemen. This God has people thinking that they are capitalists, socialists, communists, all different names of a God that's better than the other God. Capitalism is better than other systems, and socialism is better than other systems. Communism is better than other systems. Always better than others. And yet each one of them do the same thing. Make life fantastic for those who got enough of it. And for those that don't, it strangles life out of them. And yet it's not a fair ground. It's not a fair playing field. Some will have access and others will not. Those who have access, many of them will have a lot of this God. Those that don't have access will not have much of this God. Most of you want that God. You want as much money as you can get. Well, let me tell you about another God. Or should I stay on this same God a little bit? Because there's something else I want you to know about this God. This God will look at a group of people, a nation of people, and tell them that they are this God's chosen people. And another would look at a race of people and say that they are the chosen people. You know, similar to the Jews who say they are the chosen people of God. Or the white man who says that they are chosen people of God. You all know the whole story. And this God, as far as I can tell, composed a book of information that he was able to allow individuals to receive spiritual knowledge, as it were, and compile it and print it, document it in a book so that the whole world can have access to it. And this God will not talk to any other people except the people that's in the book. And this God allows for millions of individuals to say that they are representatives of God. And they use this book to authenticate their claim. And when they start speaking about God, they always refer to the book, because that's where God's message is to all of you. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about another God. There's another God who made the world, who made the stuff that we consider valuable: diamonds and gold and silver, platinum and coal and other things. Even the wood that paper is made out of. This God made the food that we eat, the materials for the clothes that we wear, and the ideals that men have and women have that would allow them to generate careers, that they can go out and take advantage of all the resources that this God has given, and create from it all of the goods and services that the people say that they need, only if they got enough of the other God to get. But this God, this is not this God's practice. You see, the God that I'm telling you about right now, the only special people that you can say is connected to this God are those who have chosen the God, because God has made all people, and all people are God. But there are very few people that choose God. You know that? Are very few people that choose God. This God allows for every individual on earth to have shelter, to have food and clothing, to have education, health care, careers, peace, prosperity, and joy. This God, and it is the only God that will allow this for every person. No other God on the face of the earth, no other God that is talked about or anything can do this or has done this. But this God has. And very few people choose this God. And the reason that I'm talking to you about it today, ladies and gentlemen, is because you got everything happening out here. You got cops who are supposed to be protecting people, who are beating people up. For what? For reasons that they can conjure up. Doesn't matter. All they need is a reason, and they'll create one. This other God allows people to go into war and to kill each other, to have one person living like They on Pill Hill, another one living in a mire. That's the God that you have chosen, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm tired of knowing this. You see, the God that I speak to you of does not speak in a book. People who are lying to you and misleading you, who know nothing about what they're talking about, those people read the book. They tell you about what's in the book. And the way they keep things in sync is they never tell you God told them. They say the book. If you go to any church, the church is supposed to be representative of people who are led by the Spirit of God, who would do the work on earth as if God was on earth in their bodies doing it himself. That's supposed to be the church. But do you know of a church that's doing that? You cannot name a church anywhere on the face of the earth that's doing that. So it's not a church. And the spokesman, they'll say, John said, Peter said, Paul said, Galatians. Well, who's going to argue with what's been written in the book? They don't know if it's true or not, but everybody believes it. So if you say it, it got to be all right. At least the ignorant people would say that. And who are the ignorant people? All of them. From the pew up to the pulpit. And then on the hierarchy as well. I would not have a God that could talk to Peter and Paul but refuse to talk to me. If you could talk to Peter and Paul, you must talk to me. Because I don't have to believe what somebody tell me about Peter and Paul, and it's not my fault. If I got to believe it, then maybe you should have tuned me up so when I heard it, I would automatically believe it. If that's the only tool you're going to leave us is a book for somebody else to come and tell us something about. Nah, my friends, that's a trick. If God was speaking through that book, through Peter and Paul and those other guys, and you are serious about God, God can speak through that Spirit to you, and you don't never, ever need a book. You don't have to refer to Paul. You don't have to refer to John. You don't have to refer to anybody. If you want to, you could, but you don't have to. Why? Because the story of life is in your life. But that's not happening. Why? Because the God that you're serving is money. And that book that you got, I am convinced, is all about money. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter whether you're capitalist, communist, or socialist. It's all about the same game, to keep you foolish. And I wished I was bold enough to stand up before any preacher, any bishop, any priest, any pope, any number, small or large, and say to them what I have just said to you. But having been brought up in this society for years and years and years, I've been trained, like most of you, to be inferior to the idea of standing up to the opposition that is so big. You're not powerful, but you're big. And yet, I find a yearning within my soul to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are two gods. One is money, and the other God is the one that will give you everything that you require by loving one another and treating each other as you want to be treated. That's the God that I want you to know about. You're not going to get him from churches. You better get on your knees and pray and get off your knees and start acting like one who is led by the Spirit of love. I must go now, for my tape gets too long and Facebook won't accept it. Bye-bye.